Hi everyone, I hope you're well and welcome to episode 67 of the James Layton Fitness Podcast. Now, first, I just want to apologise for the delay. I know I've had 2 weeks without doing a podcast, and I've basically been away to Mexico to see my brother get married, which was an absolutely incredible experience. He actually got married on the beach, which, if you've never seen a wedding on the beach, it is a really surreal experience. So that's what I've been doing. Now starting to catch up with the podcasts and videos, etc. Stay tuned for these once a week, and I'm trying to do the videos as frequently as possible because I've just bought a brand new camera, which I'm really pleased with. Within this podcast, I'm going to be discussing the compound exercises, the key fundamental movements which should really be the main centerpiece of your training program. So, as I discussed in numerous other podcasts and videos, the weight training should really be the foundation of your routine within the fat loss phase and also within the muscle building phase. So within the context of fat loss, the real goal is maintaining lean mass within the fat loss phase. Therefore, weight training needs to be that foundation of the routine, and obviously within a muscle building phase we need to create a progressive stimulus via a chronic increase in volume over time, focusing on gaining strength in addition to a caloric surplus for muscle growth to take place. But within the session itself, I thought I'd just discuss some of them fundamental principles, and one of the most fundamental principles is having your main compound lifts as the centerpiece of your routine. You may be wondering, what is a compound exercise? This is basically a multi-joint exercise that uses multiple muscle groups within a certain exercise. So some examples are the following: a deadlift, squat, bench press, overhead press, dumbbell chest press, dumbbell shoulder press. Any exercise where there's more than one muscle group involved. Typically, they're dumbbell or barbell exercises. Now, why are they so beneficial? So within the context of building muscle, they're going to allow you to use more weight. Because you're utilizing more than one muscle group within the exercise, you can go heavier, and as a result you can gain more strength, and as a result of that you can gain more volume. And as I discussed on numerous other podcasts, total volume, increasing that over a chronic period of time, is one of the most significant influences on hypertrophy, increasing muscle mass. So that's why they're so key within the muscle building phase. Likewise, within the fat loss phase, allows you to better maintain strength within the fat loss phase. And as a result, this allows you to better maintain volume within the fat loss phase, which volume is, by the way, sets times reps times load. And as a result, this allows you to better maintain muscle mass within the fat loss phase. So as such, you really want to be focusing on these key movements as the foundation of your routine, and then you're adding accessory and isolation work to really fill in the gaps of your sessions. Now, because they're so critical within building muscle and maintaining muscle mass within the fat loss phase, they really need to be the exercises you're performing at the start of the routine. So regardless of how you set up your training, whether you do more of a, say, upper lower split or a push pull lower, or even if you're still doing some of the single body part split routines, which I don't recommend because of reasons I've discussed in other podcasts, you should still have a big compound lift to start your sessions, and then later in the session you're moving more over to the isolation work, the accessory movements, to really fill in the gaps, to focus more of a moderate rep ranges, just on the isolation. Now, regards to the compound exercises, because they're so good at allowing you to gain strength, you really want to be utilizing a variety of rep ranges, but for the most part you want to utilize those lower rep ranges here. So this is going to help allow you to gain more strength, and then you're using your accessory isolation single joint exercises to work more of a moderate rep range. So every rep range has its place within a muscle building phase and a fat loss phase, but the compound movement should really make up the foundation of your strength work, the lower rep ranges, and then your accessory work is more moderate. So for example, things like squat, for example, you're probably going to be working in the 3 to 8 rep range, whereas your, say, leg extensions for quads, you're probably going to be working within the 8 to 20 rep range. You can see the differences between the two. We're still getting all of the rep ranges within the session, but we're tailoring the rep range to the specific exercise. In addition to that, it's important that within a muscle building phase, because you have more calories, you're going to be in a caloric surplus, you can recover better from your sessions, and as a result you can increase volume and therefore have more sets, more exercises within the session itself, and this is going to contribute to greater muscle mass gains. However, within the fat loss phase, volume is going to be slightly less just because you don't have the calories to recover from. You want to keep volume as high as possible, but without impeding your recovery. So, i.e., you don't want to have a session that's so high in volume when you're in an energy deficit, because you're just simply not going to be able to recover effectively, and as a result, you're going to lose a lot of strength. The other point I want to make is, as you get more advanced, you really want to be focusing on targeting more of your weaker body parts. As you get past that intermediate phase, you really want to assess your physique and think, right, what body parts need to progress on, and I would try and focus on having as many compound movements for those weaker body parts, as well as isolation exercises as well. So for example, if you had a weak back, focusing on heavy chin-ups, pull-ups, dumbbell rows, barbell rows, and variations of these compound lifts is going to be a great way to bring up these body parts, just because you can use more weight, and as a result you can add more volume. And like I said, volume is one of the biggest determining factors for increasing muscle growth, hypertrophy. So hopefully you found this useful. A relatively short episode this week. Just wanted to give you a quick introduction of how important these compound exercises are within a fat loss and a muscle building phase. And I think maybe I'll have a future episode where I maybe discuss more specifically some of the rep ranges, some of the progression models that might be worthwhile using. So I'll look forward to speaking to you next week, and I hopefully enjoyed the episode. You've still yet to download my free ebook, How to Set Up a Nutrition Plan. If you go to James Layton, Layton fitness.co.uk, you'll see a tab at the top of the page. You can download that immediately. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I'll speak to you next week. Take care.